Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to all of you once again. I hope that all of you are doing well and are learning and have enjoyed the morning session. I've had with you, I think, two session earlier as well, and we discussed something that I'm going to connect it with our today's topic. Well, all the topics are more or less connected, but specifically when it comes to marketing topics, I normally design the topics. If it is only my lectures, then I normally have a plan for the flow of the lectures from one session to another session. But nevertheless, let's try to connect this topic or today's topic with what we have discussed so far, which what I have discussed with you so far. The first thing I discussed with you, if you remember or recall, was in our first session where we discussed about consumer behavior. And we discussed that consumers behave significantly different. Then the next thing in the next session we discussed, which was last week, we discussed that since consumers behave differently, we need to group them together, and we call that topic segmentation topic, where we group consumers based on their similarity, based on the homogeneity. In that topic or in that session, we touched on four important things. Just to give you a quick recall, the first thing that we discussed was segmentation, then we discussed targeting, then we discussed differentiation, and then we discussed positioning. Segmentation was to group people, the bigger market, into groups of customers, and if you remember, I called them baskets of people based on similarity. And then out of those baskets, you choose the basket or choose the segment that is more appropriate for you and your company, for your business, and we call it targeting. Now, when you choose a market, there is a high possibility that there may be other people, other businesses selling the same product. Pay attention to the word I'm repeatedly using, product. Okay, that's our topic for today. So there will be more people, or there may be more people who, may be more businesses who are selling the same product that you are selling. That's why we need to do something with the product, that our product looked distinct, our product looks different, and that process in marketing is called differentiation. That is the thing that we discussed in the last session. Then a time may come, or there may be a situation where you cannot differentiate the product a lot, or you cannot differentiate the product at all. So you move to the next strategy, where you change the perception of people towards your product, where you change the way people think about your product, where you change the image of your product in the minds of customers. See, in the whole paragraph that I just read to you, I'm using the word product repeatedly. So you change the image of your product in the minds of customers. Why do we do that? Because we cannot differentiate anymore, or we don't have the capability to differentiate anymore. So we make the people think differently about our product. And in the last session, I gave you many examples. Those of you who missed it, or those of you who don't remember, you can refer to the YouTube channel and you will find that video, that session recorded as well, or you can refer to my personal platform and you'll find many videos on that topic. Today I'm going to touch on another very important topic, and if you have studied marketing, or if you're a marketing graduate, or if you're a marketing student and you don't know about these four things, you have somehow not studied marketing. And these four things are called the 4 P's of marketing. Please note it down with you, those of you who are new to marketing, that something that you must know, being a marketing graduate, being a marketing student, being a marketing educated person, is that you need to know the 4 key ingredients in marketing, and they're called the 4 P's of marketing. If you recall back the definition of marketing, which I touched on in my first session, you may remember that in that definition, in the longer definition, there is also the 4 P's of marketing. What are the 4 P's of marketing? Product, which is our topic for today. Then we have pricing, then we have promotion, and then we have placing. It can be in any order, but normally it is product, price, promotion, place. Product is the first P of marketing that we will touch on. I have the slides were given to me by Prof Hassan Haq, but I've tweeted it, corrected it here and there, and let's see how much time do we have to cover as much as we can, inshallah, in the limited time given to me. When product P of marketing is not only product P of marketing, all P's of marketing are so broad and detailed that actually if you go deep in degree or higher degrees, you will find subjects on these topics. So like you'll find a subject by the name of product separately, so you study that for the whole semester, study that for the whole program. That's why covering it in 30-40 minutes would not be enough, but I'm going to touch on the basics. At least you will have some knowledge before you go, and in this session you will have some information and some knowledge about this P of marketing. My plan is to cover it first, touch it from a conventional perspective, and then inshallah, if the time allows, we'll touch it on from Islamic perspective as well. Product P of marketing, I'm repeating again, it's very important P of marketing because all the businesses revolve around this P of marketing. In fact, out of the 4 P's of marketing, if you don't have the first P, which is the product P, which we are discussing today, the other P's will not make any sense, because you make the other P, promotion, you make the promotion, you price something, and that something is the first P, which is product. You place or distribute something, which is that something is the first P of marketing, and that is product. So you can see the significance of this P of marketing, this important ingredient of marketing, in the rest of the P's of marketing. So everything in the business revolve around this P, and selecting the right product, thinking about the right product, designing a right product, naming the right product, launching the right product is something that will make or break your business. So make sure that you put a lot of homework, you do a lot of homework and put a lot of efforts when it comes to deciding what product should I launch, what product should I sell in my business. And when we being Muslims, or we operating in Islamic countries, we have to understand the Islamic perspective of the product as well, because it could be purely conventional. Well, purely conventional is not un-Islamic, but purely conventional may have some type of products which are not allowed Islamically, and that is what we are going to touch on in a while. So the plan is to discuss with you the definition of product, not only from Islamic perspective. I added the conventional perspective as well, because that is also very important for you to know before we discuss how that conventional perspective can be looked into from an Islamic lens. Then the types of products, the different types of products, both that we have from Islamic and non-Islamic or conventional perspective. It's not non-Islamic, but it is a conventional perspective. Then the product decisions and strategies that we have to keep in mind when it comes to product from an Islamic perspective, and the legal issues of, say, halal and haram. And I just touched on that conventional products may not necessarily mean that they are not Islamic, but there are products, there may be products which are not in the boundaries of halal, and they're not permitted to be sold as products by Muslim businesses or consumed by Muslim consumers. So what is a product? Now, I normally give many definitions of product. This definition of product is from the book of Kotler. But before I give you this definition, I want you to understand an easy definition of product. And what is the easy definition of product? The easy definition of product is anything of value. The word anything is here as well. Okay, let me mark it for you. Product is what? Product is anything of value. This product is anything of value. Now here I did not refer to the rest of the definition. We will discuss that in a while. Product is anything of value. The word value is a very, very important word. Okay, so product is what? Anything of value. So if you give to the market anything of value, either that is tangible or intangible, we'll come to that part in a while, that is considered product in terms of marketing. Now the word value itself is a very, very important and detailed word, and we should touch it slightly, but we cannot go in detail of it. Why it is important for you to understand value is that you have to understand that value is a very subjective term. By subjective term, I mean that the definition of value, the concept of value, the understanding of value is different for different customers, different for different people. For some people, value is something, and for another person, value is something else in the similar product. And I normally give example of bottle of water, for example. In a bottle of water, value for some people is water, but value from some other people may not be water. Can you give me an example? Anybody? Can you think of the bottle of water? What is value in the bottle of water for one group of people, and what is value for group of people in the same bottle of water? Think. Come on. Let's be a little engaging in the chat. I have opened the chat and I want to see you people tell me in a bottle of water, complete bottle of water, what are different perception of value. Very nice. That's very, very correct. That okay, that's a totally different perspective. Value is money, life saving. Okay, what do you mean by life saving? Plastic, very good. That's very nice. So let's make it simple. Thank you for your feedback. A bottle of water, for some people, value is in water, because that is the main purpose that you bought the bottle of water. You're thirsty and you want to quench your thirst. But for some other people, water may not be a product of value for them. What could be a product of value for them? Just like you rightly mentioned in your chat, that it could be this bottle only. It can be a plastic that can be used for recycling purposes. So that is something that you should understand, that when we offer a product, anything of value, a product to the market, we have to understand that for some part of the market, water is of value. For some part of the market, the plastic in the bottle is of the value. The word bottle is metaphorically used for any type of product. So make sure that you understand that what is valuable for my market, and that is the reason that we select a particular segment, which was my last lecture, a particular segment from a lot of segments that we have created, and we target that based on the understanding and the perception of value. So the easy definition of value, if you want to write it down with you, is anything of importance is called value. Whatever is important for the market, that is value. And they say that if you give value to the market will pay any price, which is one of the P's of marketing. Perhaps you will study that in this certification as well, that if you offer something of value to the market will pay any price, any amount of money, any amount of offerings in exchange for your product. So your job being a businessman is that you need to find out that in your product, what can you do that the market look at it as a valuable offering, that the market look at you as something important for them. That's why when I define value normally to my students, I tell them that just understand that value is importance of something, value is the worth of something, value is something for which you can sacrifice another thing of value. That's why the more bookish definition of value is what you get for what you sacrifice, what you get in return for what you give. So when we give something, we only give something when we know that the thing that we are receiving is more valuable for me in that particular situation. Otherwise, I will not involve myself in that trade. I will not engage myself in that exchange. Why do we go and do trade? Buy something and sell something. When we buy something and sell something is all the game of value that you should understand. So let's get to the longer definition. For now, you should understand what is value, anything of value. What is product, anything of value. Okay, now let's look at the more detailed definition. The most it's a very interesting and important definition, and there are a lot of important things that we should touch on. So, product is anything that can be offered to a market for. Now, I want you to understand and note down these terms. Product is anything that is offered to a market for attention, for acquisition, for use, and or consumption. Now, these are very important terms that you need to understand. So, the easy definition, what is product? Product is anything of value. But anything of value for what purpose? Anything of value that is offered to the market for these four important reasons: attention, acquisition, use, and consumption. Let's split and understand these terms, and then we will look at the definition in totality. So, product is something that you offer to the market that grab the attention of people. Why do you think that we see ads on the TV? We hear ads on the radio. We see ads on the in the newspaper as well. When we drive on the highway, we see these big billboards with a lot of products pasted or marketed on those boards. Why do they do that? Because they want to grab our attention, and that is the definition of product. What is product? Anything that attract us, anything that grab our attention. So anything that you offer to the market, the first criteria that you have to look into is that make sure that it is attention grabbing. Make sure that it is attractive. That's why we have one model. It is a model which focus on attracting the attention of people. So that's why the word attraction is also used by a lot of people when they define product, that anything that attracts the attention of people. So it should attract the attention of people. For what purpose? Just to look at it? No, because the business will not proceed, the business will not survive if your product is just attractive, if your product is just attention grabbing, because that will not take you anywhere in your business. If you want your business to flourish, it should go to the next level as well, and that's why it is in proper order, and you should remember it in proper order as well. So the first one is attention, then is acquisition, then is use and consumption together, and it can be separate as well. We'll touch on it in a while. So first, you offer to the market something that grab the attention of people. And why the attention of people should be grabbed? Why should you attract people towards something that you're offering? Because you want them to acquire it, you want them to buy it, you want to give it away to them. And why would you give it away to them? Back to the definition of value. You give it away to them because you want to have something of value from the market. Being a business, what is something of value for you being a business that you want to get from the market? It can be in the form of finances, it can be in the form of money, or anything, if it is a barter, for example. So the trade is the process of acquisition. One person, one business gets something, one entity gets something in the form of customers, another entity give away something for something of value. So the first important thing, product is anything that grab the attention of people for the purpose of them acquiring it. By them I mean the market, for them acquiring it. And why do we acquire a product? Why do we, in simple words, buy a product? What do you think? Why do we buy a product? We buy a product for using it. We buy the product for consuming it. Now the word use or consume, now there are many people who have added more things to it as well. For example, some scholars have added things in these attention, acquisition, use, or consumption. They say that first you are attracted towards the product, and that will I want you to refer to my consumer behavior model that I have slightly touched on in my last sessions. Is that once you grab the attention of the people, once you attract the people towards your product, they do not directly acquire it, they purchase it, and the purchase process should be understood as well, either from conventional or Islamic or both perspectives. So the product is something that attracts you, that grab your attention, then you go and purchase it. When you involved in the process of purchasing, then you acquire the product. The acquisition itself is the transfer of ownership of product. And then once you acquire a product, then you use or consume a product. Now when we say use or consume a product, it can be many explanation to that as well. A lot of the time we are the buyers of the product, and I explained it in consumer and customer in my last session. A lot of the time we are the buyers of the products, we are customers of the product, but we are not consumers of the product. So you have acquired the product, you have purchased the product, but you are not the user of the product, you gifted it to someone. So in that case, a product has grabbed your attention, you have purchased or acquired it, but you are not involved in these two activities. So you have not used or consumed the product, you gave it away to someone, you gifted to someone, and the other person has used or consumed the product. And why do we do that? We do that in order to satisfy our need and want. Need and want separately could be discussed, but looking at the time limitation, I will not go in detail of that. One is something basic, one is something compulsory, another one is not compulsory, another one is just a desire, another one is just a superlative degree of need or a higher degree of need, which need not to be satisfied if you don't want to satisfy it. So that was a longer definition of product. Anything that is offered to the market for acquisition, purchase and acquisition, purchase and attention, acquisition, use and consumption of the product. And in the consumer behavior definition, I also added one more term, if you remember. And what was that term? I remember that I added a term called disposing of. So product is something that you dispose it off to. Now, product, a term, is a broad term. It is a broad term in a sense that there are normally different school of thoughts that explain the term product. They define the term product. Some scholars say that product is a broader term and it covers so many things. So product is an umbrella term, product is a bigger term, and that covers tangible and intangible. So I'll just try to divide the two school of thoughts. The first school of thought say that product, I'll try it here for you people, product is something that includes both tangible and intangible. Yeah, and that's why you can see on the slide intangible, the service. Yeah, that's why it is intangible. The other group of scholars says that actually product, when it comes to the tangible part, we call it goods. And when it comes to the intangible part, we call it service. Some other people say that actually the product is tangible. They say that product itself is tangible and the services are intangible. Both have their own explanation and both could be correct in some situations. That is just for your understanding. The product is a broader term. It includes so many things. It includes tangible and tangible. Some other groups of scholars say that product is the tangible and service is the intangible part. Let's discuss it generally. So if you take product as a broader term, there are many other things in the definition of product. For example, individuals can be considered as product as well. Organizations can be considered as products as well. Events or causes can be considered as product as well. But you see that a lot of these things, services can be considered as product as well, and a lot of these things are not tangible things. But if you go to the other school of thought and you take the product definition strictly as only tangible, then only the tangible parts or only the tangible things could be considered as products, and anything intangible will go in the category of services. So it is tangible product and services are intangible. Services are activities, they are intangible. You cannot see them, you cannot store them, you cannot, they have a quick expiry date, and there is a topic by the name of the characteristics of services, which covers the 4 important characteristics of services. If we had time, we will discuss that, but not now. Okay, so that was just touching on the definition of product. Then, and another very important thing that I want you to know, that product, when you're offering to the market, you're not offering just a bottle of water. You're offering so many things that accompanies that bottle of water. And that is what this model or this diagram represents. I'm repeating. Product is such an important and broad term that when you offer it to the market, you're not offering just that particular thing. You're offering a lot of other things that revolve around the main product. And that's why the two main things that you should understand is that first is that you're offering the core value, that what exactly is the product purchased for. In the bottle of water, that core value for a lot of customers would be water. That if I buy a bottle of water, being a customer, I buy it for a core value, and that value is the water inside the bottle. But the product comes with so many other things. This bottle of water is only one of the hundreds and thousands of bottle of water that I see in the shopping mall. So when I go to a store, when I go to a shopping mall and I'm thirsty, I want to buy a bottle of water, I see the core water in so many different packages. I see it in so many different names. I see it in so many different sizes. I see it in so many different qualities. In fact, there are some bottle of water that will cost you 50 cents, whereas there are other bottle of water, same bottle of water, which will cost you 10 ringgits, or which will cost you $10. $10 is too much, but like which will cost you 10 ringgits or a bigger amount. Why? Because they claim that it is a different quality of core product that is offered. You go and buy a product, say you buy a phone, you buy a phone with certain brand name, and you see that the feature, the core is the same, making calls, receiving and sending messages. But for one phone you pay 1000 ringgits, for another phone you pay 5000 ringgits. Why? Because there are other things attached or that comes with the product that we need to understand. And the first one is called actual benefits that are accompanied with the product, and then augmented in some books is also called supplementary products or supplementary ingredients along with the product. Let's look at the actual product. A product, when we buy anything of value, now that the market is such advanced that we are offered the same product by so many different people, by so many different businesses. And when we go to buy a single product, it can be any product like a bottle of water or a pen or a phone or any product that comes in your mind. It is offered by so many other competing companies. Which one will you buy depends on each person's own understanding and preferences. But a product comes with something which is called the brand name. A lot of us buy a product, we do not pay for the core, we pay for the brand name. Take an example of a very famous example that is quoted in the books, that if you go and buy a wristwatch, what is the main core function of a wristwatch? Showing you time. But one wristwatch will cost you $100, but there are wristwatches that can cost you thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars. For example, Rolex. What is the main benefit of Rolex? It shows you time, just like any other watch, any other one or two or $10 watch or $100 watch, but you pay $10,000 for it, you pay $20,000 for it. Why? Because of the brand name. So the product, as I told you, that when we have a lot of offers, you have to make yourself appealing to the market. And how can you grab the attention? When you establish yourself, when you establish your name. And that's why people are willing to pay thousands of dollars for that simple same main feature product, a watch which shows you time, but you pay much more than that because of the brand name. Then there are features that come with the product. A lot of the time we buy the core product as the same product, but it has features. For example, you buy a phone which has the same core function of making calls and receiving messages, but you pay more for one phone, not only because of the brand name, because it has more features. For example, it has a Bluetooth. For example, it has bigger sensor cameras. For example, it has bigger battery life. For example, it has bigger space or storage. So because of the features, you pay more. Because of the features, you distinct your product than the rest of the products. I'm a little fast intentionally because I don't have much time when it comes to explaining the lectures, and I have a lot of interesting lectures, interesting topics for you. Then we pay for the design as well. A lot of people prefer to have one design over another design, and then that is a part of the product as well. Then the packaging, you see that companies are paying a lot of focus. Companies are putting a lot of attention when it comes to packaging, the outlook of the product, the container in which the product is offered for sale is called packaging. And that container can itself serve a lot of benefits. It can be a protection for the main core product. It can be a marketing tool for a company. It can be something that attracts the customers to buy. And there are companies specifically dedicated to innovating and improving the packaging of the products. I remember many years ago, 10 years ago, when I bought my first laptop, it came in a huge box that had so many things. And down the line now, 10 years or 15 years from that time, if I recently bought a laptop, and it came with a very handy small bag, a small package. The package size has reduced. It has been it is improved, and so on and so forth. Then the quality level as well, and of course there is more to the quality, but just to briefly explain it to you, is that how how excellent the product is, how superior the product is, how good the product is in terms of its core function. Based on the quality levels, we choose the product. Those of you who are living in Malaysia, I will give an example to them, is that if you go around to eat out in different restaurants, you may have noticed that behind they have pasted this ABC, which shows the level of quality of those restaurants in terms of the food that they prepare and offer. And based on those quality, the customer perceives the product differently. If you go to a C class restaurant and they charge you $100 for a chicken piece, for example, or for a sandwich, you would be reluctant to pay that. But if you go to an A star restaurant, and in some countries we call it a Michelin star restaurant, for the same sandwich they can charge you $1,000 and you'd be willing to pay. Why? Because the quality term is associated with that. So if you make sure that the customer agree to your definition of your product quality, superiority of your product, you can charge them any money and they would be able to pay you. Then the supplementary things that comes with the products are also important nowadays. It has been important before as well, but now it is more important, is that what are the other things that comes with the product which do not become a main part of the product, which if they are not there will not damage the core product, which if they are not there will not have any impact on my own level of satisfaction when it comes to using that product. But these features, these augmented features, or these augmented products, or these supplementary products are important for you being a customer to decide to go for one producer or another producer if everything else is the same. And these are called the after sale services. For example, these are called the warranty and guarantee. Guarantee is not here, it is also very important. The warranty and guarantee, it includes product support, which is also after sales service, and then the delivery, again after sales services, and the credit and debit options available to you. These things may not look very important, but a lot of the times they are the decisive factor for the customers to buy or not to buy your product. I'll give you my own example quickly. I went to a hypothetical example, and it is true in so many situations as well. I went to buy a bottle of water. I picked up a bottle of water, which means that out of a lot of options, I have selected this bottle. This brand impressed me. This brand is the one that I'm happy with. So Hundreds of options are there, but I selected this bottle of water. Pay attention, very important example. So I have selected this bottle of water, and now I'm explaining this augmented part. Okay, I'm explaining the supplementary part of the product, how important it could be in some situations. So I selected this bottle of water and I went to the cash out counter to pay for this bottle of water. I took out a ringgit, I took out $1 to give it to the cash out to the checkout counter, and they told me, sorry, we do not accept cash. Pay attention. Sorry, we do not accept cash. Can you transfer to our bank, or can you use your debit or credit card? I checked and I don't have any debit or credit card. I don't have my phone with you. I have only cash. I went for a jog and I only carry cash with me. In that instance, did I buy the product that I selected and I loved? No, I will say, sorry, I have only cash. Can I give you cash? And the shopkeeper declined that, sorry, because of our policies. That is just a loosely hypothetical example, that because of our policies, we do not accept cash. You see, the core was acceptable to me, the actual product and the brand name and everything and the quality was acceptable to me, but because of the supplementary, because of the augmented circle of this diagram, I, being a customer, did not end up buying a product. Make sure that you work on that as well. Okay, now quickly, we already discussed that the product, for now, until now we have just generally discussed the product. You understand that product is a bigger term, I told you, and the product can be broadly divided into two types of products. We have consumer products and we have industrial products. Consumer product, industrial products. Industrial products in some books are also called business products, organizational products. So the word business products and organizational products are also used in some books. The simple explanation or understanding of consumer products is that the products that you buy for personal use or for family use. Being a consumer, when you buy a product for personal use or family use, it makes it a consumer product. The other one, which is industrial product or business product or organizational products, are those products that you do not buy for personal use. Rather, you buy it for conducting a business. You buy it to make money. So the key difference that you need to understand is that a consumer product is a product that you purchase for personal use or family use. A business product or industrial product or consumer product is a organizational product is a product that you buy for making money. Normally, the broad explanation of that I can give it to you for now to understand it, even though there are differences in it, and I would again refer you to my either YouTube channel or my personal platform, where you'll find a mini course specifically on the product P of marketing. I have courses on each P of marketing, even though I call them mini courses, but it will cover everything that you want to know when it comes to product. So there are more explanation to the different types of consumer and industrial product, but for now, for the sake of understanding in this basic level, is that when you buy a bottle of water, and you buy this bottle of water because you're thirsty, you being a consumer, you are thirsty, and you open that bottle of water and you consume it and you drink it. That bottle of water, which is a product, becomes a consumer product. But if you buy a bottle of water and you do not open it and you take it and you sell it further to make money, that bottle of water becomes a business product. You see that just because the way that you have used it, the way that the product is processed further down the line of purchase, that makes it either a consumer product or it becomes a business product. So the same bottle of water which I have personally used is a consumer product, but that bottle of water which I put in my store to sell it further becomes a business product. And there are many different types of consumer products and different types of industrial or business or organizational products, which is not the scope of this lecture, but you can go to it and you can Google it and read about it by yourself. You'll find it very interesting because they're further distincted and differentiated it with more technical explanation to that. Islamically, how can we look into product? Well, there are the verses of Holy Quran, and there are many hadiths, and the Prophet ﷺ have mentioned in many different hadiths of the Prophet that product, for example, in this specific instance, is quoted the verse of Surah Al-Baqarah is that, "O you people, eat of what is on earth lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of the evil one, for he is your dire enemy, for he is your biggest enemy." And that's what that reflects, that when it comes to taking things from the earth, it reminds me of another type of product which is not even quoted in a lot of books. We just explained the two types, the consumer products and the business products. Some scholars have also mentioned a type of product which is called agricultural product, and agricultural products are referred to those type of products which are the result of land or sea. Now look at it: eat of what is on earth lawful and good, and do not follow the footsteps of the evil one. So what type of products could be consumed by a Muslim consumer? Those which are lawful, those which are not the types of products that will lead you to a wrong way, that will make you go to an evil side. And what are they? Let's touch on that in a while. In marketing literature, or even generally in economics, we see the word product is of prime importance. And I explained it in the beginning as well, that when it comes to the P's of marketing, the first P, which is the product P of marketing, is so important that all the other P's revolve around it. And since Islam is the core of life, we have the product explanation as well, and that would be touched in a second. Now, the concept of product from an Islamic perspective, how do we look at it, and what could be the main important key feature or the important key characteristic or trait that we should look into? The first and the most important is that, irrespective of the conventional things that I explained, you have to now look at the issues of halal or haram. So even though the product is beneficial, even though the product is of value being a business, even though the product is acceptable to the market, but the product is not halal when it comes to the Islamic teachings, then you being a Muslim business, you being a Muslim consumers cannot involve in the trade, in the exchange of haram or non-acceptable products. It should be halal. And normally the example that I give to my students when I explain the concept of halal and haram is that you are a business operating in a non-Muslim country. Say you're operating in Canada or Australia, a Muslim business, a Muslim business person, and you want to start a business, which means that you want to sell some products, and you want to sell alcohol, you want to sell wine, which is a very profitable business. Can you do that being a Muslim business? Well, because of the halal and haram issues, you being a Muslim and you being Islamic company or business cannot involve yourself in the sales of wine, for example. Or you are a Muslim and you want to purchase a bottle of wine or a bottle of alcohol. Can you do that? You cannot do that. And then there are many other examples, like, for example, consuming pork, for instance, or going to gambling, for example, and so on and so forth. So even though these businesses may be tempting and profitable for a business, but if you look at it from an Islamic perspective, you cannot involve yourself in that, because there is a clear demarcation and distinction when it comes to halal and haram. And I was listening to one scholar, and it says that when it comes to the gray areas, it's better to stay away from the gray area. So the clear halal and haram is there, but there are a lot of gray areas. Let's not go into the gray areas if you want to become poised and good Muslim business or a Muslim consumer. Now, we already touched on this one as well, that when it comes to one school of thought, they consider product as a broader term, and that's why they have used the word continuum for it, that the product and service cannot be strictly divided into tangible and intangible. They call it a continuum, and there is actually a diagram of continuum from most intangible to the most intangible products. So there is a most intangible one and the most intangible products in the world, and that continuum has many other types of products, which are hybrid type of products as well. I think I'm running out of the time. Let's have a question or two before I conclude. I have many things,
Yeah,
but
thank you very much, Doctor. Now we open for one or two questions. Let me check in the chat box.
yes, if there is any question, feel free to ask. Okay, seems
I
like
think this is from Abdul Kadir.
yes.
He said to someone, when you is the water itself in the bottle went to another, it might be the plastic, the price, and many other things attached to the bottle. I think it's
Agree.
not
So
the
that is an explanation of what I just asked earlier, and that is the right explanation. That well, you could be a bottle, a water in itself. It can be a bottle. It can be a plastic, and so on and so forth. So he explained it correctly. Thank you, Abdul Kadir. Any question? Any feedback?
uh,
Again, I will
if
leave my
participant with the question have if you want to have a question, you can raise your hand.
yes.
If not,
I've left my personal website on the in the chat, drtarijan.com. You can always go there, and you can find my other platforms, like my online school is there, my YouTube channels are there, my Instagram, TikTok, everything is there, where I post frequently on different topics of marketing and motivation and so on and so forth. Perhaps you, those who are interested, would like to follow me and learn something new every day, inshallah.
thank you very much, Doctor, for your
Thank you.
insightful presentation and clear explanation. May Allah grant you, Doctor, inshallah.
Amin, thank you
And
so much for the time, and thank you so much for the invitation. I hope that the students who are joining liked it and learned something from it.